Mercy, mercy, mercy.
I'm here today with Nate Vaughn, and we've got an exciting announcement to make today. Nate, can you tell us about it?
Yes, Kirk, we have a very exciting announcement. Sebastian and myself and you have been collaborating on a project which is consolidating our information into something that is available online, and also coming up with publications that summarize our argument, our critique. And so we have it all packaged in time for the Low Sunday. Some may call it the Divine Mercy Sunday. And we are publicizing it and launching our project.
How long has this been in the making, Nate?
I say we've been talking about it possibly for over a year. And I think that we've been working on it for several months. My guess is about 4 months or something like that.
Is it designed, obviously, to put out information, maybe to counter information that's already out there?
Yes, I think so. I mean, in the sense that we're presenting information. So whether or not there were information already available, it would be about the same, since presenting information. Having said that, what people will find when they study the Divine Mercy devotion online in a popular way, from the shrines, from the video presentations or the lectures, really come out of the shrines very consistently and with a lot of funding behind them. It's all one-sided. It all tells the story of the Divine Mercy as it's been told since John Paul II. And there's really a sort of a surprising lack of critical analysis or critique. And that's actually one of the deciding factors of a real devotion, I should say a real revelation, is that there is a sufficient amount of critique within the church, within those real official circles, and amongst the hierarchy of the church. And lastly, just an overall discussion, overall argumentation and critique, and it goes back and forth, and it can last decades. And in this case, this was in true Vatican II style, as we often talk about. It was just mainlined, like more like a propaganda campaign. I don't mean to be too negative, but it's sort of what we're dealing with at the moment. And so it actually is concerning for Catholics, because this particular devotion had, unfortunately, so much popularity. And then after that is the fact that anybody just interested in this devotion is going to get quite a lot of soft, unscholarly, and information that not only that, in some cases is false, or the conclusion is false and it's based on a very soft information that does not have a lot behind it. I've done a lot of the research myself, and I've sorted through, overall it's hundreds of documents. And the academic papers, dozens of academic papers, a lot of them are in Polish. The scholarship tends to be centered in Poland. And so here and there you find pieces of information, and then they collect into a clear story. And the story is contrary to the story told by the shrines and by the advocates of the Divine Mercy devotion, and it's in line with the findings of the Holy Office in 1958, and it's in line with the bishop's opinion of the Diocese of Vilnius, of Sister Faustine at the time. And so we feel that we're on the right track. But not only that, it's all reasonable. It adds up, it's logical, and importantly, it's all in line with the teaching about private revelation of the Catholic Church. That would be from the basic teaching about private revelation, which comes from certain books. I found one from Benedict XIV, which is several hundred years old, and other textbooks of discernment of spirits and private revelation, and then the protocols of the Church itself, the Holy Office or the CDF, and then the Carmelites, St. John of the Cross, St. Teresa, and these classical Catholic resources. When you put it under that light, it's like a counterfeit. It's like a fake $1 bill. it's very easy to figure this out once you have a good information. That's what we are essentially providing. The conclusion we leave in some sense to the viewer, to the reader, come up with the conclusion, but the conclusion seems to be on the surface as well. And we're not really interested in being contradictory or oppositional or being argumentative with anyone in particular. But this information is a contradiction to the basic statement is that Faustina had a true revelation, that the Divine Mercy is holy, is of God, and is good for the faith of Catholics, and is good in the Catholic world. It's a simple collection of information and presentation with some scholarship involved.
Tell me about the features of the website and pages.
So first of all, the name of the website and the name of the project is Real Divine Mercy. So it's about real divine mercy, and clarifying that there's a false type of divine mercy representing the opposition to it. So we have these categories: introduction to the Divine Mercy devotion, which is just a simple briefing about the devotion itself. And then we have the booklet and the infographic. The site is also actually a vehicle for something that we'd like to distribute, which is a booklet. It's a 40-page booklet, question and answer format with pictures. And it should be easy to read and nice to read. It should give a clear picture and also a good argumentation. And should be convincing, I hope, for the reader without leaving a lot of open questions. And at the same time, it will give people who would like to discuss this with other people, other Catholics, or other people who are not Catholics may be interested. It will give them the information to then present. So we also have a shorter format of information, the infographic. The infographic is a simple one-page sheet that has 10 points that speak against the Divine Mercy devotion. And so hopefully people will have this that they can then just post on the social media. And this will give a clear and a simple synopsis of the basic information towards the validity of the Divine Mercy devotion. That's the booklet and infographic section. They're available for free in a soft copy, and I'll shortly be having it.
But we'll definitely have the infographic up, and everybody's encouraged to share it. And we'd like to make this go viral as best we can.
Well, I say, let's make this like a jubilee of real Divine Mercy, and just circulate it. Just throw it to the wind, and just allow as many people as possible to have a look at it. Things like this tend to spark interest with people and get around. Sometimes controversially, sometimes a lot of people pick up on this in the comments, which I see on your videos, and are very enthusiastic about the true aspects of the controversy, and have a lot of interesting opinions.
If you're at a family gathering with your Novus Ordo relatives and things are getting a little dull, just throw this out there. It'll liven things up.
Absolutely. That's right. That's right. Well, just to carry on a little bit, there's several other categories on the website. We try to make it pretty comprehensive. And then additionally, there's an archive section where I've collected all of the information, documentation, and then some of it being in the original Polish has been translated and is available.
You also had a place for people to give their experiences with the Divine Mercy devotion, and just how they came out with a sense of aridity because something was missing. It just didn't seem right. And this website will be a nice place for people to share their stories and commiserate, perhaps. And sometimes it's really affected some people in dark ways. And those people's stories need to be shared.
At the chapel here, it's a fairly small chapel. There's a lady who was approached by a sort of a phantom Jesus, maybe invisible, or she seemed to think, and she wasn't like a terrifying experience or something really mystical, but she felt like Jesus of the Divine Mercy was getting close to her, and she said she'd been practicing it for a couple of months, and then she said to this figure, "Where is the love where's the love that I'm expecting from Jesus and that I'm expecting from the devotion? It must have been a coldness. And so that put her off, and that was several years ago. And it does circulate, yes, the popularity level is very high. And we're not really trying to contradict it with our forces. We're trying to present the information that shows a lot of the false arguments that have been circulated. And I don't mind what the reality is, one way or the other, quite honestly. Having pursued the project for a few years, then more and more information that shows clearly troubling aspects of the devotion and the history and the experiences of Sister Faustina and the weirdness of the experiences of Sister Faustina. And then you couldn't put your finger on it and find a corollary, because there's certainly none in the Catholic world of the mystics, the wonderful mystics that we have in the Catholic world. Nothing is like this. Even the closer ones, like Sister Consolata, something like this, but nothing like this, because the message is different. And the experiences are different, the threats are different, and all the stuff that this Jesus and all the when you read about it, it's like it's like somebody who's naive in a relationship with a manipulator, in a relationship with a manipulative, hostile person who is doing all these things, and then on top of that, this person, this specter, also has certain powers and abilities to do little things, little tricks. But the naivety of the diary is extraordinary. So, it's very troubling. And it wouldn't be so troubling if it hadn't been mainstream. And we can thank John Paul II for that. We don't want to have any animosity towards any of these people, but there's a very small cadre of people, and I would say about 6, who were absolutely instrumental in taking this and I would say injecting it mainline into the Catholic world in a very inappropriate way. John Paul II was really operated because he was able to. Nobody else had that much the ability to do it. And he was almost the Pope, but he was very influential in the matter. Other people kept it alive, developed it, and there was a tireless zeal on the part of these promoters. And I guess we still see it to some extent in the shrines. It's unfortunate. It's very seductive. And if you don't look closely at it, it may look attractive. But what we're doing is showing that without trying to rip it away from people or rip away the good aspects of the devotion to Jesus, because it is Jesus on the painting. It is Jesus, it is ostensibly Jesus. And people, you may get close to Jesus by getting close to a troubling painting that has subtle problems or big problems, but there's something misleading. And so we don't want people to be misled. And we also don't want false devotion to be circulating. We also, number 3, don't want great devotion, the Sacred Heart, to be overshadowed. And the Fatima messages, which are critical to our survival. And the way that the Divine Mercy is just like this big elephant that just imposes itself amidst all of our sacred devotions. Right, and we have a good reason for doing this, in other words. But what we're doing is simply presenting information, and we're trying not to be confrontational, or we're trying not to be too abrasive about it too, because we understand that people have a.
I think all of us involved have at one time embraced it early in our faith development, because we unquestionably accepted what was given to us. And it was only through taking a closer look, there was a lot of darkness there. So you can be sympathetic to other people and empathetic, because at least speaking for myself, I've been there. I used to say the chaplet all the time because I never questioned these things. But as I said just a moment ago, there's a lot of darkness to it.
There's great substitutions for it. In fact, this is a poor substitution for great devotion. I would say 3. So there is a section in the site which talks about alternate devotion. We also talk about private revelation itself, and what is it, and what's the purpose of it, and how important is it. You can get that information from the site. The long story short is that private revelation is assisting with the faith of the Catholic. It's not the substance, and it's not the critical aspect that is live or die, or salvation or not. So that would be public revelation. That would be the Gospels. And actually, the best thing to do is to turn to the Gospels and read carefully the Gospels on a daily basis. Another spiritual reading, the lives of the saints, that will provide a true spiritual foundation and richness. Whereas private revelations are more of an assistance. And of course, the Sacred Heart, and of course, the Fatima devotions, for example, and the Seven Sorrows of Mary are the ones that have been selected to promote to Catholics, and there's many more that are all authenticated. And they often derive from these mystical experiences. They've been through the ringer and they've been discovered to be true. Whereas so many other devotions have been shown to be false because that's the cockle that the devil sows, and that's how he operates. And so we also insist, we tell people, Catholics, you have to be careful. There's a secondary problem today in the world, and especially in the Catholic world, the false mysticism, and the internet has become like this marketplace of all of this cheap, spectacular mysticism, so-called, some of which is probably imaginary or invented, and some of which is certainly the devil telling people this or that, and it's really on the face of it. So we want all Catholics to be able to distinguish, but first really to be careful and to be cautious and even suspicious and not accept any unapproved revelation. And the church still has a certain charism to select the right revelations. I don't think God is allowing us to be so misled. There's a good faith as Catholics, even in the Novus Ordo. There's a charism the bishops still have to select the right and the wrong. It's becoming maybe more confused. They're being more tricky about it. But at the end of the day, there's approved and there's not yet approved or unapproved. And it doesn't make any sense to jeopardize your soul with an unapproved apparition. And in fact, I think it's against the church law. So you're not only jeopardizing your soul by being misled by something, you're also going against the church teaching, the church law. And so you're actually being disobedient. And we have to place ourselves under obedience for safety's sake. So there are certain modern devotions that may be okay. We know Our Lady of Kibeho and others, and actually Our Lady of Kibeho recommends the Seven Sorrows of Mary. So these are three, both antique, but Fatima is more modern, but they're very critical for these days. And we need people to say the Rosary for Fatima. Our Lady didn't just request it, I think she commanded it more or less, but it's so necessary for the salvation of souls. We see how dangerous the world is and also how destructive it is. So Our Lady is giving us a way, and she's involving us to help the world, because we're Catholics, of course. So we militate against the evils, and she's given us a simple way with the Rosary, for example. So we want to bring people back to these. These are brighter and lighter. Master Goya, forget about it. We know the bishops are against it. We know the good reasons to be against it. So we don't want to be naive anymore as Catholics. We don't want to be uneducated. We want to know what we're looking at and know how to look at it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back in about a week with another one. But in the meantime, please check out my Facebook page, my page on X, and my new page on Instagram. Every day I post additional content that you won't find on this YouTube channel. And also, please pray for the church.
Mercy, mercy, babe. Ooh, Lord, have mercy on me. Well, remember, I done somebody wrong.